What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Well, I'm not your host, Michael Rivero. I'm David from Crucial Nonsense. Joining with me today is Steve Stars. And Steve and I did a show here on RBN a number of years ago in 2015, 2016 called Lightspeed. So welcome back to RBN, Steve.
Well, it's good to be back, and sorry that it's not a daily thing, but we're glad to fill in for Michael, who needs some rest, and I'm glad he's out there enjoying himself. I hope he gets that. And a big hello to all of our old listeners at RBN, and I miss you all. You know, I can start naming names, but then they might start calling in and asking me where the hell I've been or something like that.
Well, they're probably going to do that anyway in the second hour, and we will open the phones in the second hour and take calls. And Steve Elkins is off today, so he may be with us tomorrow. And we'll also probably have Keith Rogers with us tomorrow and on Thursday. And then Ryan Dawson again on Friday. And then Mike will be back, hopefully well rested and ready to go. It's definitely been a marathon here trying to cover all the insanity going on in the world. We've got more of the Black Lives Matter spreading all around the world. And we've had the coverage of the funeral today. And I noticed something when I was looking out amongst the crowd as they're doing the coverage of that. I didn't see any white faces, and I was like, wow, that's kind of odd, because I've had lots of black friends, I've had lots of white friends, and we're all kind of a mixed race community here. And whenever we have funerals and we lose one of our own, all of us, not just black, not just white, all of us, come and we celebrate the life of our fallen comrades and support the family and all that stuff. And you would always see a mixed bunch of people out there. So you're trying to portray to me that George Floyd had absolutely no white friends at all, that it's just the black community on this. I mean, they're really trying to stage this up to be a lot more divisive. And we've had enough of that stuff, I tell you. So anyway, we had to cover that here briefly because that is, current and what's going on. We've got lots of stuff going on overseas. Netanyahu's wanting to annex the rest of the settlements by July 1. What could possibly go wrong there? And we got a bunch of other things. This whole violence against the cops and stuff like that is spreading everywhere. There's big giant protests over in London. And it's not just the United States anymore. It's a United States issue. It's a Milwaukee issue, but yet it's global. That's got to really kind of make you wonder. What do you think about that, Steve?
Well, you know how I think about it. I'm actually very much in favor of agreeing with you on about 99.9% of actually all of that. I don't know, that was a long way to say I agree. But anyhow, yeah, that's what's happening, all right. I mean, it's kind of a blackface political move here. You heard that term now, blackface politics, where you have all these Democrats pretending to care a lot, and they put on these scarves and take a knee, and it's all staged. I mean, it's all about perception from your terrorist media, better known by most people as the mainstream. I call it what it is, the terrorist media. That's what it's become, friends, a terrorist organization that is controlling thought of a lot of people who have not woken up to it yet. And so I don't have to tell our friends here at RBN. They know this very, very well. But that's, this is the perceptions that they are presenting to the American public, and it's criminal and it's reckless endangerment. They should be held accountable. If A.G. Barr is going to say people crossing state lines to commit terrorist acts should be investigated, I think he should start with the media as well, because they're definitely crossing state lines and causing all kinds of misconceptions. Friends, lies are dangerous. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but lies will damn your soul. I mean, that's what you got to get. You got to understand that bad information is one of the most dangerous things out there. And most people don't realize how dangerous it is, regardless of free speech. I mean, free speech should be a free marketplace of ideas. That's what I think Oliver Wendell Holmes stated many years ago, and some of the earlier Supreme Court judges said the original intent, and I agree with that, was to have a place where people could talk and discuss things, agree, disagree, point out truths and fallacies. But it's not supposed to be run by a lot of people, a private cartel of people who decide to program whatever they want going on, and that's what's happened all along with COVID-19. It's now going on. They changed the squeeze frame on the visual image of the public from the virus that was so not so deadly, right? And now it's the riots, and it's all this problem with the riots, even all the way to UK. You know, we had a clip that we were listening to with Nigel Farage talking about what's happened in London. Why is this going on all over the world too? I mean, that's a serious question. All of a sudden, the virus is everywhere, and now the riots are everywhere, Dave. There's something really wrong.
Globalism. Once you have a problem in any one sector, in this globalism, you have to make it everyone's problem. You can't just have a riot in one city. No, it has to be absolutely everywhere. This is very dangerous, and you're right about the terrorist fake stream media promoting all of this stuff. You know, we should be trying to make cooler heads prevail. We should be trying to tamp the fires down and try to actually heal these wounds. What happened with George Floyd on his face with this Chauvin guy kneeling on his neck until he died is reprehensible. And we have a lot of police violence out there. It's not just against blacks. It's not just against whites or browns. It's everybody. They're being thugs out there. And actually, they're a little bit more resistant to being mean and battering the black people because there's always this fallout of it. Oh, you hurt somebody that's black. Black Lives Matter. We're going to riot. We're going to burn your town down. But we don't have the same protection for the brown or the white or the Asians or anybody else. And there's plenty of enough other people being brutalized by these cops with all these militaristic tactics like the IDF, how they treat the Palestinians. There's a lot of violence and brutality going on. Should we not be calling out all of it?
We should. Yeah, I mean, there are certain situations, of course, where people are out of control. You know, we know that. And but this wasn't one of them. And as I watched what took place there, I was wondering why George Floyd was sitting on the pavement there with two patrol cars, and then they walked him down the street before this all started. I don't get it. I mean, there's something really wrong with the whole thing. It wasn't this major infraction, although he might have been on what they say that his system might have been full of a lot of fentanyl. I don't know. There's been these autopsies. There should be probably at least 3 of them, I would think, too. But now that he's buried, there probably won't be any more. The question is, of course, you know, why they handled it this way, which really is suspicious to me. I have a lot of questions about a lot of things. I don't have any theories. I don't go there until I've got some sound, you know, something to look at that's sound, like we saw at the Boston bombing, like we saw at Parkland, like we saw in various other places, you know. I haven't seen anything as direct as that I can put my finger on to say something isn't right about this staged or not staged event. I can only say I have some questions still remaining as to what really happened.
Naturally. Of course we have questions. There's always going to be questions. And I think those questions should be answered before people fly off the handle. And the fact is, these officers have been charged. They're going to be brought before a court. So right now, justice is pending. And we have to give these people due process. Everyone deserves due process. George Floyd deserved due process. He was denied that. That's a big deal. I don't like that. That never should have happened. But that doesn't excuse us removing all of the other due process of everybody else, just burning everything down without thinking about it. Okay, it's being dealt with. We are trying to deal with it. We're trying to heal these problems out here. And there still is some amount of racism out there. I'm not going to say that there's not. There's going to be bigotry because that's just part of the way humans act towards each other. But fanning all this stuff up only deepens that. It doesn't heal it. So what do we want? Do we want more of this? That's certainly what it seems like. Or do we really want to be able to come together as one American people and just, you know, forget about this color thing because it really doesn't matter. What we need to do is treat people on equal basis, equal standing under the law. We're not all equals, but hey, we deserve equal standing under the law, and we need to be able to give people a fair shake. And if we're trying to bias it to giving a protected class special treatment, sorry guys, that's just as racist.
Sure is. And that's what we don't stand for in this country. And that's why we're asking, in the title of Mike's program here, what really happened? And it's nice to hear some of the stories and things that we've heard about this that are asking questions instead of just a narrative that we've gotten. And so typical. We go back, but this is the news media now that's become, I think it was Tucker Carlson, Dave, that said the news media has become instead of the watchdog of the people, it's become the guard dog of the elitist and the globalists. They're no longer serving us at all. And this is terrorism. It's a terrorist news media. It's propaganda almost continually, 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's definitely over the top. My police your background noise there, Steve. I don't know where the whooshing was coming from. Hey, we're trying to rebuild some things because we've been having some technical difficulties. I know with hardware. One of his links to the mixer failed this last week, and we had some other stuff happen somewhere else that had to be repaired in an emergency type fashion. So technical gremlins are what they are, and we're just trying to make sure that we deal with the problems the best that we can. So, sorry about the interruption there, Steve.
No worries. It could be the wind blowing here in Colorado. I mean, we've had nothing but 4 days of wind. It's pretty bad. Is it still there?
Yeah, it's still there, but hey, we'll deal with it. It's still better than on the phone. Yeah, you are having a bunch of wind there, and we had a little wind here in the Arkansas area yesterday with a lot of rain. That Cristobal, that tropical thing, came right through here and dumped a lot of rain and a lot of wind. Not much damage. And I don't think we had anything terribly severe. I hadn't heard of any really bad damage. But, hey, the hurricane season is just getting warmed up, so we're going to have a bunch more of these storms. And I'm very familiar with the weather in Colorado. I'm from there, as some people know, and it does get windy sometimes, and we do get some interesting weather up in the Rockies. And I definitely miss it one of these days. I hope to get back there. I have had the opportunity to work with Steve on the 1360 AM station there, serving our home area, and I have a great affection for the Front Range area as a result of having grown up there. And I don't know what's up with your audio there, Steve, but I'm getting a lot more wind. Hopefully you don't get blown away. But you can go to 1360khnc.com if you want to check it out. We are on open forum, and we have Monday and Tuesday, and sometimes we fill in other places too. We're kind of the jack of all trades, master of absolutely nothing. They stick us wherever we need to fill in. We've been volunteering there for a little bit better than a year now. So how about all that? Yeah. Oh, it definitely is. You might have a little look at the audio there, Steve, because I'm not exactly sure what's going on. But hey, since we have those clips, number 3 and number 4, and you know which ones I'm talking about to play, and we can discuss these. And I'm going to go ahead and play those, and that'll give you a minute to see if you can sort out what's going on with your audio. So we're going to go with the clip here, and then we're going to discuss this. And then, if Steve's got his audio fixed, we'll get in here and talk about this more, and then we'll play the second clip. But here we go.
We have a choice: to remain passive, which would lead to the amplification of many of the trends we see today: polarization, nationalism, racism, and ultimately increased social unrest and conflicts. But we have another choice. We can build a new social contract, particularly integrating the next generation. We can change our behavior to be in harmony with nature again. And we can make sure that the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution are best utilized to provide us with better lives. In short, we need a great reset.
According to the World Economic Forum website, the Great Reset agenda would have 3 main components. The first would steer markets towards fairer outcomes, aka wealth redistribution through taxation and regulation. The second component of the Great Reset agenda would ensure that investments advance shared goals, such as equality and sustainability, aka there will be global standards regulated by task forces to control every aspect of your life through regulation and ensure compliance to the 2030 agenda. The third and final priority of the Great Reset agenda is to harness the innovations of the Fourth Industrial Revolution to support the public good, especially by addressing health and social challenges, aka this is the transhumanist agenda to merge man with machine and enforce compliance with global governance initiatives laid out by the UN's 2030 agenda. Now, this might be a good time to note that 14 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals include vaccination.
I'm not going to talk about mandatory policy and where I stand on that point. It may well come up later, kind of hoping it does in the questions, because then I'll share with you my rather one-sided opinion on that. So what could be a better return on investment, Rob? What could we invest our resources in if we're not going to tackle hesitancy? If hesitancy is not to blame, how are we going to deal with this in the future? Well, I would argue that now is the time when we need a shift in perspective. Immunization is a best buy. 14 of 17 SDGs are addressed through immunization. And when we talk about universal health coverage, we talk about primary health care, we talk about health security. Without immunization, there's none of that.
None of that at all. How about that? They really have this all mapped out. And when this whole COVID thing came on the scene and they started collapsing the economy, which was going to happen anyway to kind of cover up the banker fraud, now this global reset is absolutely necessary to be able to get things back on track, because now the debt is absolutely astronomically unpayable and we're not going to be able to pull out of that anytime soon. Steve, do you get your audio figured out?
We'll give it a try here. I don't know if that sounds any better or not.
No, not really.
Sorry.
It was working so well earlier. Well, hey, live radio, we have to kind of deal with all of that stuff here. Maybe try amping up your gain a little bit. And I'll talk a little bit more about all this stuff here, because you also have, all this Black Lives Matter stuff, and all this tension, and it's gone worldwide, just like this whole pandemic. It went worldwide almost instantly. It's like everybody's having exactly the same problem, and we're collapsing economy after economy after economy after economy. And it all started off in China, with them having the first lockdowns in Wuhan. And I had a very sneaking suspicion once that happened that this is going to be kind of interesting what they're going to do with that. And here we are, and we're still in a state where we have a bunch of lockdowns all over the place.
Right.
There you go. That sounds a little bit better.
Good. I think I know the formula now. We're having to work with things. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you. My technical issues are nothing compared to what you're saying. So you continue, Dave.
Well, you could, chime right in on this, because we've been talking about this for, several weeks now, trying to get to the bottom of it. In fact, we had a whole panel of experts on, over the past couple of months to debunk these tests and to really get to the bottom of, what they're really trying to pull over on us. We've had interviews with John Rappaport, which is really great. And we actually have the YouTubes up on that. We have David Crow, Dave Grasnick, and we had Kevin Corbett. There's lots of experience over there in the UK. And then we got journalists like Joan Shenton and Celia Farber. In fact, I think you've got a story from Celia that you want to read, but I think we probably need to wait until the next segment, because we're coming up on the break here. So here we go, and we're going to have a quick word from our sponsors here on RBN, and we will be back here very shortly. So stay tuned for more What Really Happened with Etheric Dave and Steve Stars. Yeah, they never say that we did, and they will always try to deny that. Hey, Mike had a really good point there on the last break here. Republic Broadcasting is listener supported. We have all this big money out there being paid big bucks to lie to us, and that leaves us in a real world of hurt if we don't get all of our small money together to start countering all these lies. You can go to republicbroadcasting.org. There's a donate button on the page. You can also call 800-724-2719, extension 3 or extension 1 from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Thursday, or you can send cash, check, gold, silver, money orders, well wishes or whatever you want. Just don't make sure it doesn't do anything bad. Send it to RBN 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas. Let's see, that would be 78664 if I'm reading that correctly. I don't have my glasses on, so I kind of have to almost go from memory on that. But please support RBN because we are in the fight of our lives here. This is more important than ever that we get the truth out here, and we have a bastion of truth here on Republic Broadcasting, and we've got a very informed audience as a result of that. So see what we can do about keeping this light on here, because we got our work cut out for us. So, Steve, we were talking about this transhumanist agenda and what's going to start transpiring with all this stuff. You have some comments for us.
Right. I'll just basically say that this was planned, ladies and gentlemen, and this is a big part of it all. I mean, the entire ongoing COVID and infection aspect is all about this. That's what it's really doing. They're trying to use these things in succession in order to get us to submit worldwide. And they've 14 of the 17 stratagems that they've put in place are about these ongoing worldwide epidemics, and they're all about immunization, which is how they're going to track you. We've got another clip. Why don't we play that, Dave, and I'll see if I can work on things a little bit in the meantime, and let's let the listeners, while they're still in tune with all this.
That's a good idea. This is the conclusion of that thought, so here we go with that.
This is not about saving the planet. This is not about equality. This is about control. Many of the jobs will be taken by robots, so they will redefine work and what it means to work. They want to redefine what it means to be human and determine for you your role and your future of being essentially a transhumanist cyborg integrated into this new control grid. Now, right now, we are witnessing the controlled demolition of the current system of control by design in order to usher in this new transhumanist agenda, this new system of global governance, this new digitalized system of control where we will be unable to distinguish organic life from artificial. We won't even have access to our own thoughts, or we'll have access to them, but we won't even be able to control our own thoughts and emotions because they're going to do that for us, because we're going to be tied into their grid system. Now, the current system was never meant to last forever. It was meant to last only long enough to enslave humanity through debt and until technology caught up to the technocrats' envisioned future. And now it's here. Now, do you think that the central banks would take responsibility for the collapse of the current system? Do you think that the governments would take responsibility? No. The virus is here to take the fall. The virus will be the excuse to burn down this old system, as we're seeing happen right now, and out of the ashes, this new system will rise. You think that it's just a coincidence that the central banks just so happen to have their new digitalized currencies ready to go? They've already been rebuilding the global infrastructure for years to facilitate this new digital financial system, this new digital financial system of control, which is about to be rolled out on all of us right now. At the same time, they are rolling out the digital immunity passports, and that the UN's digital identity plan is being rolled out and worked on right now, which is being funded and rolled out by Bill Gates. There's so much more. I could continue to go on, but for now, I'm going to have to cut it here. Global governance is at our doorstep. It's being rolled out under the justification of this COVID-1984 crisis. And at the end of the day, we the people do not have a say in our future. According to them, we don't even get a vote, according to them. These technocrats are deciding the future of humanity for us right now. And guess what? The future of humanity isn't human at all.
No, it's not. And that's the problem. It's going to get more and more mechanized and more plugged in, and you'll never be able to tell the difference between the robots and the humans. And we already have this artificial intelligence trying to worm its way into absolutely everything, and it's really not all that particularly intelligent. It's really part of dumbing people down, I think. So Steve, do you get your microphone under control yet? Okay, I'm gonna guess not. Oh, no audio. Okay, well, that's interesting there. Okay, I will see if I can cover this here for the next couple of minutes, because we really do have our work cut out for us. We've got the Facebooks and the Googles of the world trying to censor everything. We see the censorship happening on the YouTube. We're not allowed to say things that don't fit the right proper narrative, and it's a whole lot of bad stuff going on, and I don't really know exactly what the solution is, but it's certainly not more of the same, because they're trying to sell us a solution for a problem that they've created, but it's more of the same. It's what got us into this problem in the first place. So why do we want more of what already has proven doesn't work? I don't know. Very strange stuff. We live in troubled times. All right. This is what really happened. Republic Broadcasting Network will be right back after these messages. No, I'm not Michael Rivero. I'm David from Crucial Nonsense. And I wish Mike was here today. I tell you, we're having nothing but technical glitches. Was trying to get Steve in on one of the other backup numbers, and it's just spitting out errors. And of course, and I'm normally on the back end of all these things. And when I'm on the back end, I've got things to be able to fall back to be able to bring all these things to work. But when I'm trying to be on the air and do this at the same time, well, the attentions get divided and I get all over the place. And I'm not trying to make excuses here, but we're on a shoestring budget trying to make all this stuff work, and with old, outdated hardware and software for amateurs. We don't have the money to spend millions of dollars for production studios and all that stuff. So we're trying the best that we can to be able to make all these things work for you guys. Now I got some other messages that came in during the break that I'm not going to be able to check until we can get Steve back online, and I think we got Steve here, probably back here. Let me see if I can I got Keith. Keith, thank you for coming to the rescue, brother. I certainly appreciate that. How you doing?
Don't ask.
Okay, well, I'm sorry I did.
Hey, with your globalism thing, I just had to make a comment on that. Can you imagine, as the United States keeps pushing these wars towards Venezuela, Iran, Syria, how do you sell a war to a bunch of U.S. soldiers that are allegedly fighting for their freedoms and democracy back home when this globalism thing is taking over?
I don't rightly know. They're trying it anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, they sure are. Anyway, I sent you a video and email there. It got blocked 3 times before I finally went through there, but they're blocking this Black Lives Matter stuff so people don't really see what's going on. But now we have whites attacking whites.
Yep. Too much of it. It's going to keep heating up until we can shine a big enough spotlight on all, so it all kind of comes apart on them, because they're trying to do all this stuff from the shadows and trying to trick us into thinking that this is real and this is organic and this is the people being unruly, trying to demand these things. Well, it's kind of funny how all of these things seem to be demanding the very agenda that they've been trying to promote on us. Don't you find that a bit odd?
Yeah. Did I send you? I think I did. I sent you that video from TYT where it talked about the protesters. They're all paid by George Soros. The guy admitted it right on camera. And what gets me though is, if both political parties weren't in on this, then Trump would have went after Title 18 subversion on this. And why isn't Soros locked up?
Yeah, I don't know. He needs to be. He won't be, though. To all the people that are like that out there spending their billions of dollars trying to fan things up, the Bill Gates of the world, the George Soros, and all the rest of them. Yeah, they're not being brought to justice.
No.
Kind of mad.
Yeah. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone from Montana. This is Keith Rogers over here, and I guess I'm on what really happened right now. But anyway, yeah, it's a shame here, because when you see veterans on like Twitter posting the fact that this is not the country they fought for before, and it's not what they envisioned for the future, I think your comment to me on about baking marshmallows on email there was about the appropriate response to
it really is. It's getting to that point that it's almost beyond repair, and we keep fighting this and trying to save all this, but what are we actually trying to save? The system that has been poisoning us with all these bad medicines, that it's been plunging us into unpayable debt for all this. We really want to save all of that? really, I think we probably need to do a wipe and reload, to equate it to the computer IT stuff.
Well, the other thing though, David, is that we don't see like the black community being pissed off at Planned Parenthood that aborts 800,000 babies a year. We don't see Black Lives Matter worried about the United States and their what AFRICOM's doing over there in Africa, or what it's demographically over in Yemen with that population there, or with Libya, those being sold into slavery. I mean, this, you can tell this is a psyop.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm multitasking here. I'm trying to get Steve back online. So it's just talk for just a half a second there, Keith.
Oh, that's fine. So anyway, yeah, it's when you look at what the financial system is doing right now, I mean, Jerome Powell. I mean, it's funny listening to what he's saying, but then you've got all these. There's a word for that. But anyway, these young millennials out there on YouTube, they're talking about their stimulus checks.
Yeah.
They will be the last ones to see a stimulus check because corporations come first. Remember, as the bankers are bailing out the corporations and millions of people are becoming unemployed and millions more to go, that these guys are the last ones to ever get anything. And so they're going to crash the system.
Yeah, they already have.
Welcome back, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry we had these problems, but you're absolutely right, Keith. And I'm glad that you're there speaking up on all this, because that's exactly what's going to happen with a lot of these people who think that there's a never-ending bucket of money in the government. And they're going to be the first to find out that they're the first ones cut off, I think.
Yeah, they are. I was looking at the stats this morning there from Fred, as they call it, the Federal Reserve. And if you watch the what they call the cash liquidity, the M2, it is going down and down and down, which means there's no money flowing into the 70% of the world's population, which is consumer based. And then add the 40-some million that are unemployed. And remember, they just came out and admitted that jobs market or the jobs increase was actually a skewed number. And yet all the politicians are still going on that skewed number, saying, well, look at the economy, the growth. Even Trump is out there tweeting about it, how great things are getting, And it's all a lie.
Yep, sure is. And you know that, as you mentioned, there are all these laws in place about this kind of international subversion, everything that's been going on all this time that has never been executed or held to the the justification of the American people in avenging us, our adversaries, who have been over there doing all of these things all this time. And the only, obviously Hillary's still walking. Look at Comey, look at Mueller, look at all these people. And yet, at the same time, we're being penalized by this system. It's very, very disconcerting to me,
Yes.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's a real mess.
So what's our choice right now? I mean, we have this election coming up, and everybody thought Trump was going to drain the swamp. Oh, we're hoping he would anyway. And a few things have happened, but they've been so minor in comparison to the international plan. And as we said before, and you saw from this clip or heard from the clip that we played, this was planned to go on, and it didn't just happen in the United States. It's happening all over the world. So if these globalists have the upper hand, including the United States, then why are we even voting for anybody? It seems to me like they have decided already this is what they're going to do, and nobody's going to make any changes, Constitution or not, in our country.
Yep. It certainly seems that way. It's going to be more of the same.
Who is
That's
this
what they
Kara?
want. It's a colleague of mine and Steve's from the station that she was going to call in and chime in. So hopefully that she'll call the 800 number and join us here for our discussion. So we're just kind of waiting for that.
Anyway, I was going to interject something here too, where we have white people now washing the feet of blacks and stuff. I mean, they are making this so symbolic and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And again, when it comes to the CIA drugs that have been brought into this country and like that have left so many people homeless. Matter of fact, this guy I watch on YouTube all the time, he's down in California. And remember, I sent out a thing here about plywood this morning, invest in plywood. It shows down in California, every single place is boarded up with plywood. And then he goes through the street after street there in the LA basin area there and just shows it. Miles and miles of tents and stuff. And apparently, the Democrats down there have no issue with that. And what's 1 out of 4 had to seek food relief. And like I say, they don't care about the people. All they're caring about is these big corporations who are hiring. No, they're not. If you look at what the stats say, is they're actually putting people to work at a lesser wage, and then they're starting to fire them with these CEO buyouts and stuff as they're filing bankruptcy.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
So the unemployment numbers are going to go right back up again.
Oh, of course. And they were never giving us the real numbers anyway. You know, they're saying there's a few percent is unemployed when, you know, nearly half of the country wasn't able to find work for the longest time. And it never was really healed all the way before all this stuff happened. And we're still not getting the straight dope on all that stuff. There's so many people out of work and there's so many businesses that have shut down that will probably never open again. It seems to be kind of a consolidation towards all of these big mega corporations that we're going to keep the chains like Walmart and Costco and Best Buy, you know, the big, you know, name brand stores like that. And we're going to make sure all of the little mom and pop shops are going to be put out of business forever because they're not going to be able to survive all of this stuff.
Right.
Yay. Wonderful. We need more of that. That's been working out so well for us. The more monopoly they get, the less service we get. The crappier things get, the more these products break as soon as you get them. Or at least 5 seconds after the warranty expires. I'm kind of getting tired of that. We used to have a nation that we would build things and we build things to last. Not anymore.
Yeah, you know, there's another thing too. I've been kind of, you know, I don't vote because you know, if Jesus was around, I don't think he would pick the lesser of two evils. But anyway, I think there's more and more to this going on here with this paper ballots and also the fact of like Jared Kushner saying that I don't know if you want to call it a gaffe there, the fact that about the November elections may be withheld or at least delayed. So all you have to do is look at who the United States is backing throughout Bolivia. All they're doing is bringing up right-wing neo-fascist governments to power, and this is how they control the people. And of course, when you start looking at the riots and stuff, they're not just here in America now either. They're all over the place. And
Right.
I'm going to take a break here. Just 1 second. I got to go turn this other radio down because it's getting me a little feedback here. So I'll be right back. Okay.
All right, fantastic. We know about, you know, feedback and multiple radios and audio sources and all of that.
Sure do.
We deal with that on a daily basis, and
Right.
I kind of have the divided attention span here, being, you know, a back end, you know, engineer producer type, you know, trying to, you know, twiddle the dials, you know, feed the mutant hamster and all that stuff, you know, GMO hamsters. Whoever thought
Right.
that idea probably needs to be taken out and back and shot. But we try to be the best that we can, you know, with all of the distractions on that. And we certainly have had a really bumpy week, you know, of all of that. And I thought it was going to be a much more copacetic day as far as the technology, because we managed to fight through a whole bunch of that stuff, you know, before the end of it. Hey, you know, I wasn't going to open the phone lines just yet, but we're going to have a call from Jim in Montana. Jim, what's on your mind, brother?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah, we hear you. What's on your mind, bro?
Hey, so have you guys touched on the topic that they're talking about defunding the police and cutting a huge workforce of the police down?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we've heard about the topic, but you know, it sounds pretty absurd, I think.
you go back to the
Yes,
UN
yes.
agenda.
Well, you know that's right out of, that's Antifa has, they've got a book, of several things that they want to see happen in the nation, and that's like right in the top 4 or 5. That's right out of the Antifa handbook, right there, and it's so they can run amok. There's nobody to stop them. What's happening is we're heading to civil war. That's what they want.
Yep.
Okay.
Divide and conquer.
That's right. Because Clinton's, Schumer, they just dropped the charges with General Flynn and stuff. So that whole Russian collusion stuff has just been debunked. Just everything that happened with Epstein and Anthony Weiner and everything, these people are getting back to a corner. They're getting to the point where it's either going to be jail or war for them. Okay? Yeah. If they don't do something like create a civil war in this nation, the evidence is already there. Evidence is there. We could start putting the Clintons and all these people in jail. Okay?
Oh, absolutely.
Now, yeah, so they've got no choice. Now, I'm not quite sure, but I think maybe it was a Patriot Act or something, but somewhere along the line, like 10 years ago or somewhere, I believe that they passed something like if they declare martial law, they can bring the UN in to settle any domestic disturbances, even foreign armies.
Yeah, you're right. Well,
Okay?
remember, Bill Cooper talked about this many, many years ago there, where this small arms treaty, I remember Donald Trump took his signature off of that, but I don't know if that's a ploy or what like that. But the fact is once they eradicate the local police and stuff, all you have left is your military. And with the fascism growing and stuff, that's something to worry about. I was just looking at a story here, matter of fact, as you mentioned that, the fact that this former CIA engineer, this Josh Schultz, has been indicted again in this WikiLeaks case following a mistrial. What gets me about this is that the war on journalism continues. Anyone that's out there actually doing reporting, they're being shot with rubber bullets in the eyes. I mean, if people can't see the way this country is going, yes.
Yeah. It's going downhill real fast. Yeah, we'll hold you over here real quick, and then we'll get to Dustin and others. 800-313-9443. We'll go ahead and open the phones. Join us on the air. We'll be right back. All right, we're back here, second hour. What really happened? I am David from Crucial Nonsense. I've got Steve Stars with me. I've got Keith Rogers, and we were talking with Jim in Montana. And I'm going to get back to Jim, and then Keith's got a breaking news story. So, Jim, pick up where you left off, and let's get this wrapped up.
Yeah, I'll try to make it quick here. So like you said, they take away the police force and all that such as the military. The problem is that the military is going to be split. Okay, they're not going to go along with that the cabal, the Clintons and Schumer and Pelosi and all those guys. So the military is going to be split. So they're going to have no choice but to bring in the UN for civil unrest. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot of Chinese citizens or a lot of Chinese enlisted guys in the United Nations Army that they bring in. But yeah, it's getting bad, and I don't really see us kind of getting out of it now, honestly. Especially if they are able to fall through with what was like 40%? They're going to cut the police force by 40% or something like that. They're talking about billions of dollars of defunding. Yeah. So start prepping up. Start doing what you need to do now.
Yep.
So, and stock up on your colloidal silver, and all of us need to try to stick together. And, yeah. All right. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, Jim. And you're absolutely right. Now, the preppers were given a bad name before, but now everybody's looking at them going, yeah, maybe we understand what you guys were talking about. So, Keith, you had a breaking story for us. So let's get into that, and then we'll take Dustin after you get done. So what's up?
All right. Yeah, on the cusp of what Jim just said here, we have to remember that if you defund the police like that, they're going to make that up in their traffic stops and other departmental type things, court cases, all this stuff like that.
Civil asset forfeiture, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they'll get more aggressive in that. So anyway, on the cusp of this, yesterday Donald Trump was talking about that elderly man that was pushed to the curb and said that he could be a part of Antifa. Well, it turns out that this Martin, I believe his last name is Guegino, that it's been confirmed, though, that he was a Catholic peace activist. And he was there trying, in support of the Black Lives Matter, to, what he called, smooth things out and like that. That's why he approached the cops. And there's an article about that on religionnews.com there. But I mean, this is it, where we see both political parties are trying to push not only the police issue, but also defunding the police issue at both sides, the good cop, bad cop. And remember, when these guys get done and their so-called Capitol Hill type stuff, they're having steak and lobster together. They know exactly what they're doing to this country here, because otherwise you would see everything totally defunded that the government's doing from the Democratic side, and Trump would be vetoing everything. So, I mean, it's all a setup. You know?
Yes,
anyway,
absolutely.
Break's coming up here.
Yep.
So.
We'll be right back after the break here, and we'll start hour number 2. I'm not Michael Rivero. I'm David from Crucial Nonsense, and I've got Steve Stars right along with me, along with Keith Rogers. And Steve, I'm going to get some comments from you about this whole UN troops on the street kind of thing, because I kind of think that that makes sense that they would bring foreign troops in, because they won't have any problem firing on American citizens, whereas I think the people that signed up to serve our country are boys and girls are going to have a big, huge, gigantic problem with it, even though they probably said at some point that they will be willing to do it. So what do you think, Steve? What are your opinions?
Well, I got a couple comments here, Dave. And, one is, of course, we had Dave Hodges and Paul Martin on our station for a while running these stories about the Red Dawn scenario, the Gorkhas and these various foreign troops that we've been observing in various places around the country right now that are already assembled and running exercises. And sometimes they say they're training with our troops, that when they're talked to and asked, you can see them in Walmart. They look like regular Joes sometimes, but they're speaking Russian between the 2 or 3 of them. I mean, there are these foreign troops already here. And they have the underground movements and things like that, places up and down that have turned up in various locations. I don't think this is conspiracy theory anymore. I think it's been pretty well confirmed. But, the questions that also arise here is, we had Oath Keepers for a while. I'm still trying to figure out what happened with Stuart Rhodes. There were people going around talking about their oath to the Constitution. Many of them were in service and out of service vets. What's going to happen if they defund the police? Well, a lot of the police are probably going to say, I don't know, but we may be taking up sides with the residents against this situation here. It's going to be hard to say. As we've talked about before, this patriots versus globalist agenda fight, Dave, that we've talked about, I think they're looking at something like that happening, and it's going to be hard to say which way it's going to go. I also think there may be some trouble in the Middle East that may interrupt all of this, and that's coming in probably the next maybe 6 months to a year from now.
Maybe sooner.
Yeah,
because
maybe even
Netanyahu's talking about annexing all the settlements by July, and that doesn't give us a lot of time before that happens.
Right. And, Russia is poised at this moment in strength to do a lot of work in the Middle East. And some people are going to be dreading this, but I don't think this is the Gog-Magog invasion yet. But I think that we're going to be seeing some big shifts, possibly from Mr. Putin, who is holding all the cards at the moment. He's isolated himself. He's thrown out the Rothschild bankers. He can have his own internet kill switch. The Russians are ready and hunkered down. And, I'm not looking too far in the future because a lot of us are looking at what's happening right here. Our focus has been only on this because of everything that's happening. So the globalist wet dream may come to an end very quickly here if they suddenly find out they're not the only kids on the block, and there are some people who the globalists have abused, Putin and company, who don't see it their way. And, there could be some international turmoil in the interruption of all of this coming up in the next year or so. We'll just have to see. That's one outlook. I'm only giving you some things that I think I have a little insight in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that does make sense. And there are a lot of players on there. Thanks for the comments here. Why don't we go ahead and pick up Dustin in New Jersey. Dustin, thanks for holding on with us here. Let's have it. What's on your mind today?
A lot of players, different agendas, some align, some ain't. Kind of like World War II, ain't it? Like,
yeah, kind of, sort of.
They're aligned, yeah. They're aligned for a certain time period, and they're not. Like Putin, you guys realize, they got, with the Chinese, the Belt and the Road Initiative, you guys know that.
Mm-hmm.
They have an agreement with the Chinese, but, it still has to do with, like, the globalists, their agenda, and who's playing who, and, Trump's part of that, and so is Obama. Right. It's all, it comes down to, like, it's all like a mob type of situation. Like Al Capone, you had multiple gangs. Like, our country is nothing but a mafia-run gang. So are all the other countries. They all compete with each other, but they also team up with each other at times. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. We've seen it over and over and over, rinse and repeat. It never seems to end.
But you know what's crazy? Like we're not going to have no civil war here. Come on. The Clintons are not going to be arrested. Obama, the Bushes, they're not going to be arrested. You have an oligarchy running your country. And it doesn't matter if it's left, right, up, and down. Blue, red, that's meaningless. It's all about the Benjamins. They all, like you guys said, they all go to the same parties. They go all to the same clubs. At the end of the day, after they compete with each other in front of Congress and the Senate, they all go have dinner with each other. You understand that?
Oh, yeah, pretty much. That's exactly what it is. It's all about the money. Follow the money. We've had all this money looted from us. Follow that money. You'll find out, what agendas are in play and what's going on.
Do I still have time?
Yeah. Oh, you got as much time as you need, brother.
You guys are great. But I want to talk about the system. The system's only as good as the people running it. You guys does anybody understand that? It doesn't matter if it's communism, socialism, capitalism. Who cares what system it is? If the system's run by a certain group, a small group of people, they can take advantage of it and they'll ruin the whole system. It's like it's like if you're running something at a store and a couple employees ruin it, maybe they're getting like a percentage off on like the discount, and a few people ruin it, then they stop doing it for everybody. You understand that? Like it's just the system is only as good as the people running it, and that's human beings. Human beings are killers, liars, and crooks. Okay?
They certainly can be. There are good humans out there, but the good humans seem to be very adverse to getting dirty with all of this stuff. So we end up always with the lesser of two evils, and the lesser of two evils is still evil. And you're absolutely right. It doesn't matter what the system is. If you have evil people running it, it's going to be evil. If you had good people running it, for the common good of everybody that actually, did it out of, love and compassion, it could be done well.
I'm a Catholic. I don't want to push religion on people. I don't care if you're gay, straight. That's meaningless. That's gibberish. But
I thought you were talking about the priest.
Like Trump. Well, no, but that's Catholic.
I had to do that, Justin. I'm sorry.
Story. That's for tomorrow's story. But I'm saying if Trump said he was going to pull the troops out. You do it in a week. If you don't, then you're full of crap. I don't need somebody telling me a month from now they're going to do something and they don't. You know what I mean? Like we're not. I mean, we're being strung along. I don't care if it's Trump, Bush, Obama, Clinton. I mean, come on, guys. Trump going to do this. Obama going to do this. Clinton going to do this. Where's the beef, man? Come on. Show me some results, man. Like, did Trump pull out of Afghanistan? He said he was going to pull out of Syria, remember? And he made a U-turn. I mean, the guy put in Mike Pompeo and Elliot Abrams. Elliot Abrams ran death squads. Mike Pompeo said, we lied, cheat, and steal, and kill, because that's what the CIA does, is kill. You guys know that if you know anything about the United Fruit Company and all that other stuff. But, I mean, what's changed? What's changed since Trump's been there? Well, he's a nationalist. So what? Nationalism versus what? Unipolarism? Well, that's unipolarism versus multipolarism. But what's changed? Somebody wants to be in charge, but Trump hasn't fixed anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, he has time now. He has time for weeks and months, but nothing's changed, man. We had riots back in Rodney King, and nothing's changed, man. Like, where's the fixing? I don't care if the police get defunded. Like, I'll be my own police officer. When did the police come? I got a flat tire. They won't come.
Oh,
they broke into my car. But if they break into my car, the police will come after they break into my car. The police will come after they break into my house. So what's the good of them? You're going to spend $100,000 a year on one police officer? Somebody called it, we need, the police, this or that. You don't need a police. Be your own police. Be your own bank, man. Why do you got to put money in a bank? Be your own bank. If you don't hold it, you don't own it with gold, or anything. Come on, guys. You got to be separated from the system. The system sucks, man. I mean, we know. You guys know the system sucks.
Yeah.
The system's broken.
Yeah. It's been very broken for a long time. It's not going to get any better. Well,
no,
probably not. Probably not. It's probably one of those things like a bad, broken computer that the virus-infested operating system is so broken that the only thing that's left to do is to wipe out the operating system and reinstall something from scratch, fresh.
Am I going on a rant?
Yeah, probably. But
ranting.
Hey, I think we're all in that state there, Dustin. We're all kind of pissed about what's going on. Our world's on fire.
How do you fix it?
I don't know. That's just the thing. And it starts with having the conversations that we're having right now. So at least we're getting this out into the public forum and we're able to discuss this stuff. And that is where it starts, because we have to be able to discuss these ideas and be able to freely exchange our opinions and our ideas, because maybe somebody does have some ideas out there on ways of being able to correct this stuff. I mean, Mike's got a good blueprint for the new America. There's lots of good ideas on there, how we can have a little bit more honest election systems. It's not all that hard. How we can have a little bit more just world. So there are ideas out there. It's a matter of getting the powers that are so deeply entrenched to F off the rock, where we can actually get back to work and hopefully find prosperity once again.
Look, man, I voted for Trump. Like, I only voted 2 times in my lifetime. Well, 3. I voted for Obama twice. I believe in his crappy hope and change BS. But then I voted for Trump because, I believed in him. But the dude hasn't delivered.
No,
I want to
really.
see some results, man. Like now, not next election, because next election is his last chance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's way too late for all of that.
Come on, man.
It's just like the QAnon stuff, okay? They tell us
man.
all this stuff is being taken care of. Don't worry, stand down. Sealed indictments, this and blah, 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 over and over and over. And we've never seen one tangible piece of action off of any of it. So if we're putting our hope in all of that stuff, boy, we've definitely been hoodwinked, and we really probably need to be our own solution. And it starts at the community level, because it's got to be a bottom-up fix. That's why we probably at some point need to talk about the committees of safety and lawful constitutional militias, and how we actually put this stuff back together from the ground up, because any top-down solution is going to have the same top-down rot. So it's got to be bottom-up, grassroots kind of thing, and genuine. And we got to make sure that
trickle down don't work. Trickle down doesn't work.
It never worked. No, they just keep all that in their pockets, and you give a little pittance here to some people that don't deserve anything, and they're all happy because they're getting something for nothing. So it must be working for everybody, and the middle class keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and we struggle more and more and more. We used to be able to have one income to be able to support a family. Not anymore. Hell, 3 incomes, 4 incomes sometimes aren't enough in this day and age. Wow, how are we supposed to do that? I don't know, 170%. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the real one, not the fake one that they put out.
Right. Yeah, the fake one's like, 14, 15, 17, whatever it is. It's nowhere near what it is, because all they're doing is counting people getting benefits or applying for benefits, and they expire off of that, then they're no longer unemployed. Gee, they must be working somewhere. No, that's not how it is. They are spinning every single statistic to try to paint a picture that they have everything under control. No, it's so far out of control. It's so far broken that we need to quit listening to them. They're lying to us about everything. They're spinning absolutely everything.
Before the virus, J.C. Penney and all the Pure Imports was closing.
Yeah.
After the virus, J.C. Penney and Pure Imports is closing. So what's changed? It's
nothing. It's only gotten worse. Dustin, I enjoyed it. I got to go because we've got more callers jumping on here. And Jim, hey, thanks, Dustin. We got a real quick, Jim, you need to be real quick with this because the phone lines are starting to load up. But you had a comment for us. So I'm going to go to you here real quick and give you a quick rebuttal. So what's up?
Dustin. Good old Dustin with his Ministry of Hopelessness. Yeah, we all know the system is messed up, but it's not. They're a lot more organized, and they're not. The cabal, which is made up of all the skulls and bones and the Bohemian guys, and all of them. They're pretending to compete against each other. Sure, but like you said, at the end of the day, they're all having dinner with themselves and whatever, okay? But they are the problem. Demonizing humans. Humans, bad. Humans are just naturally evil, and it's never going to be good. Oh, there's been all kinds of civilizations through history that have...
I don't think that's exactly what Dustin was trying to say there, Jim. But
he did say that. He said humans are evil. Nothing's ever going to get better.
No, not all humans are evil, but there are evil humans out
I agree.
there. And we do have, frailties. None of us are absolutely perfect. That's the problem. We all have imperfections in here.
What he did is took the focus off of the real problem, and that is the private central banking and the Rothschilds. If you do your hard research on the Rothschilds,
follow the money.
They are absolute masters. The last 300 years, they're absolute masters at putting in their agents into governments and taking the legs out from under countries to keep them under control.
Absolutely, Jim. I agree.
We get rid of the Rothschild, the private central banking system, and
that goes a long way. That goes a long way to solving the problems.
This country was an innovation when they started this government. In the Constitution, and it's just probably one of the best functioning systems, not the best, but one of the best. Okay? And until the Rothschilds infiltrated us again, this was a wonderful, peaceful, thriving country.
It was.
So let's not take focus off of the real problem.
No, I agree, and we've been all about. Hey, Jim, we've been all about that on what really happened. Talking about all bankers, all wars are bankers' wars. We've been talking about the banks, and one of the first rules of the new America is no private central bank, no private central bank, no private central bank. So we definitely get it. Jim, I got to move on because the phone lines are loading up. I gave you your second rebuttal there. Thanks for calling, and we'll take you again tomorrow. So call back and let us know what's on your mind tomorrow. Let's move on down the line here because we got the phone lines loading up, and we have Carol in Idaho. Carol, what's on your mind?
Hi, David. I guess there's two Davids there, is there, and Keith?
Well, me and myself. We got Steve as well. David. Yeah, well, okay. There's probably two of me, but only one body.
Did you say Steve too?
Yeah, Steve. I'm here. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry because I tuned in later. Anyway, to cut to the quick here, it was something Dustin said just now that got my attention, and he asked the question, "Yeah, but what can we do about it?" And somebody said, I don't know. And so I decided I was going to call in and say, we, the American people, do know what to do about it. And David, here is the answer. You know it as well as I do. If every American, like the listeners of RBN, were to do his or her own job right there in your local town, with your local school board, with your sheriff, throughout the county, your commissioners, all the way to your governor and
bottom
your
up.
Federal,
bottom up, absolutely. Carol, hold on the line. I'm going to put you on hold. I'm going to come right back to you after this break. Bottom up. I agree. Absolutely. We'll be right back. All right, we're back from the break here. And Carol, you're absolutely right. It is very important for us to be able to go bottom up and be able to start with things like the local school board, local elections, local county sheriff, because that really is the supreme law of the land in your area is your local sheriff. And being able to do those things gives us the best shot at being able to get all the stuff working. So pick up where you left off.
Thank you, Steve. David. It's very easy. RBN is wonderful, and you gentlemen and women who give your time and talents to inform us, I was almost going to say entertain us, but let's look at that word entertain. I admit that I look forward to tuning into your programs, and part of my motivation is to be entertained. But I need to leave the radio and see what my school board is doing, see what my sheriff is doing. Right here in Idaho at present, we are attempting to recall our governor. Why? Because he's bought the lie about this coronavirus shutdown, and he has locked out his own legislature. He refuses to give the $1 billion that Idaho got, and I believe every state got $1 billion plus, good or bad. But anyway, he's sitting on that money, or actually using it with his own little clique, and they are setting up this contact and tracing outfit, and to the tune of maybe paying people $25 an hour to come to your house and see if you got a temperature. That's just one instance. But here's my basic point, as I'm sure you know. If we are in trouble in this nation, we the people in our local areas, every single city, county, the state, the people in our areas, we are to blame. If we would take charge citywide, countywide, statewide, and monitor our federal legislature, federal district legislators, we could turn this nation around. Okay, that's what I wanted to say. So we got to stop lying to ourselves, and talking to the choir. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Carol, for your call. And I think you're pretty much spot on, because it is up to us to be able to start taking this stuff back, and it does start from the bottom up. You're not going to be able to, fix the things with the president right away, but you can start fixing things with your school board, your local city council, your local sheriff, and then when you get that strong community, back under control, under lawful, jurisdiction, then those communities work together to start affecting changes on the state level. Steve, what do you have to say about all this?
Well, it's really good to be back at RBN because this is the kind of conversations we used to enjoy. But, Dave, we played something at the beginning of the show that probably needs to be resounded again in terms of what's actually happening. And your last caller just touched upon it. The way they're going to take this down, friends, is with the epidemics, one after another. And they have this thing called HR 6666, the Trace Act. Okay, this is about locking you down. They have the 5G coming in. Everything is going to be surveillance. Yes, the Federal Reserve is going to fail. That was the plan. But they're going to blame it on the virus, blame it on the virus, blame it on the virus. You see, this is the way out for them. This is what's already in the works. This was in the Rockefeller plan that was published from the Rockefeller Foundation 10 years ago. You can see it everywhere, the Plandemic, Event 201. They're going to continue this. So, Black Lives Matters, things like that will come and go. There's going to be some more ruckus, a lot of confusion in the streets, but they'll keep coming back with the epidemic model over and over. And just to finish this up, Dave, I'll say this. I see a lot of this coming back in 1992 when we first started looking at the HIV/AIDS fraud. The HIV is a fraud, ladies and gentlemen. It never was a cause of AIDS. AIDS is real. We're called AIDS denialists sometimes, but that's not it. AIDS is real. The virus was always a fraud. That's why there was no vaccine for it. That was due in 1986, 34 years ago. But I want to come to the point here. Anthony Fauci has been involved in this since 1984. Okay, he's now running the country, or he was, treating Trump like a dumb poodle. Okay, so this is who's taking over. These are the global medical industrial complex people who are going to be running things, and you're going to see more epidemics. They got the next one planned for the fall, and it's going to get more and more and more. And yes, you're not going to have the Federal Reserve after a while because you're going to have a digital currency that you'll have to be checked in and out of depending upon how many vaccines you take. That's where this is all going. And that's really, you can see this in the ground works of the Rockefeller Foundation. You can see it already in effect. And they're telling you what they're going to do with this. We're not paying much attention. Will there be war in the streets? Well, possibly. Of course, there's going to be a lot of people resisting, but they're going to be telling you, look, you cannot resist this. You're going to have to get your COVID ID, and you're going to have to be up to date with your vaccines, and you're going to have to keep your social distance, and we will control you. You will be part of the technocracy. That's their plan. And so I'm saying that you're going to see more epidemics. And this is the way they're going to take over with these epidemics, just like they've done now. There'll be other little things along the side to distract you. But this is the big plan. Anyway, yeah.
Steve?
Yeah.
Respectfully, none of this that you've just said so well, none of this will happen if the people in every area of our nation would take the assignment and do their work with their local officials. I mean, just make their lives miserable until they get constitutional and get behind the needs of the people.
I agree with that.
We've got to stop.
I agree with that.
We've got to stop saying. Exactly.
We're
We've got to stop saying.
Carol, we're
guys.
on the same page, but we got to take a break. We're coming to the end of the segment. Thanks for your call. We'll be right back with Tom in Florida and others. And we are back, and Carol's absolutely right. If we had been doing those things all along, none of this would be necessary. But the fact of the matter is, on the ground here, they hadn't been doing all of that. And so we are here right now, and we are vulnerable to these technocracy fueled takeovers, all these pandemics. They tried to do that in 2009 with the pigs fly flu that didn't really fly. They caught traction on it this time, and I think it's probably because of how things played in China, with the Wuhan lockdown, and that spread. And there may have actually been something other than COVID going on in China that they were using the COVID to cover up from. Can't prove this, but it's an interesting theory nonetheless. And then because of that lockdown, having to lock half of China down, then everybody else started taking a little bit more seriously. And here we are, fear. The Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, it had all these plans to be able to do this stuff to us. It was going to be the global pandemic, the environmental crisis, and all this banking stuff. Bam, bam, bam. All the reason that they needed to control all of our lives and tell us absolutely what to do about everything. So it's absolutely just craziness. Okay, so let's go back to the phones here. Tom in Florida, what's on your mind?
Yes, good day to you, gentlemen. And to your last caller, Carol.
John Adams said it best, Carol. With the gun, you're a citizen. Without the gun, you'll be a subject. Okay, that was his inaugural. And so I just want to put that out there. And I also want to hear, let Dustin, I'm going to shout out to Dustin about, hey, Dustin, I heard your governor opened up today. So congratulations. I'm glad that New Jersey's opening back up. Sounds like a good plan. Now, what I really want to talk about, what you talked about the first hour, you were talking about this guy, Floyd's funeral. You don't see too many white faces there. He has a white girlfriend. I don't know if she was on fentanyl or whatever they're doing. But this whole thing, what's going on with this, when I seen Candace Owens' Facebook video, where she's saying 19 white men were murdered by police, but only 9 black men, and we got this narrative now that all whites are cops are going out hunting blacks. This is absurd. This is a massive race war it's going to lead to if they don't stop this. And I'll tell you what's really looking, what the real picture of this is the white leadership in a lot of these cities is not stopping the looting and stopping the monuments being torn down. They're tearing these monuments down. What are they going to come after next? The books? They're going to tell you can't have books no more. You're gonna have to ban your books in the Bible.
Well, they've been basically doing that, Tom, with censoring us on YouTube and making sure that we're not able to share information with one another if it doesn't conform to community standards and all that stuff. So, yeah, we have been having that.
You know, Robert Rayvolds.
Listen, let me ask you a question. Why are white people in this country allowing their monuments that have been standing for hundreds of years in some cases? Why are they allowing them to be torn down? Where is the blunt force? Okay, where is the massive tear gas? I mean, you're tearing monuments down, man. Robert E. Lee never even owned a slave. Okay, Ulysses S. Grant did, but Robert E. Lee did it. Okay, and if it wasn't for Robert E. Lee giving up the way he did, that war would have continued on for 50 more years. Now, what's going to happen here, and the way they're treating Donald Trump, the president of the United States, the most disgusting, disgraceful thing I've ever seen in my life. Now, one caller, if he goes ahead, go vote for Biden because he said his one state. Well, if you're not, the only thing you can vote is Democrat or another vote count. That's what's actually happening here. And this was Soros and all these communist Bolsheviks are up to. They're trying to wipe out. They're trying to take our manhood from us, and that's not going to happen anymore. Because, like I told you, with a gun, you're a citizen. Without the gun, you're a subject. I've been to Cuba. I see what happened there.
Tom, did you catch Robert Rayvolds' first hour this last Sunday?
I caught a second hour.
Oh, you should go back and listen to the first hour. It's awesome. He just summarized everything you just said.
Well, you know exactly, and you know what? I live in South Florida. I can tell you guys stories that you wouldn't believe it. It'd be unbelievable to you. But what's going on here? You got the poverty pimp Al Sharpton spewing crap out of his mouth right now. It's going to lead to a bigger problem. I mean, he's a pimp, and what's going on here is unbelievable. You know, the problem, what's going on here is we allowed the minority to tell the majority what to do until the majority says enough is enough. I'll give you an example. Minnesota. If you take those cops out of Minnesota, all those lily whites over there right now are going to flee out. And you know what? All their neighborhoods are going to go down. What happens with all the housing? How much will a house be worth outside of Minneapolis in those suburbs? And they don't have no policing. In New York, New Jersey. What would happen if they pulled the police departments out of Newark or New York City? What would happen to those cities? Chicago had 60 shootings over the weekend.
Yeah, Tom, before you get yourself all worked up, if you notice what the Fed is doing, they're trying to buy up everything. What that includes is all these properties, which will be turned into Section 8 housing. I've already listened to those guys talk about it. They're going to rearrange the entire cities. And again, like Carol said, you have to start at your local level here. And I would say community first, and then go to your sheriffs and stuff like that, because a lot of people, like here in Montana, it's rural and stuff here. So you need to let your neighbors know. But this is their agenda there, and they're going to mix people in. Like I've mentioned before, if you look at that UN forced immigration thing, and there's a second link to that. If you follow that UN forced immigration, and it will take you to a PDF file, and you click on the United States on it, and it says under their new world order agenda that the U.S. is going to have over 1.3 billion people in it, and this is their agenda.
Well, you're absolutely right, but let me ask you this: this Jesse Smollett case is off the table. We don't hear none about that hate hoax.
You don't hear about the woman who was murdered in Iowa, Molly Tibbetts. You haven't heard nothing again about Kate Steinle. You had 5,876 Americans murdered by illegal aliens. Where was the protest for these people? Why weren't cities being lit on fire for that, for these leaders allowing our invasion of our country with multiple millions of people? And you got 5,776 Americans murdered by illegal aliens?
Because it doesn't serve the agenda. That's the problem. It doesn't serve the agenda.
This guy was a crook.
Yeah, Tom, you're getting overheated here. Tom, you're getting overheated. Well, let's turn that around, though, Tom. Why don't we look at the 60,000 U.S. veterans that have committed suicide since 2008, or last year, the 122 Air Force pilots that committed suicide, or the year before, the 57 Marines and the 22 Special Ops that committed suicide? Why are those deaths not even counted?
Yeah,
and they come from all walks of life.
Exactly. That's a very great point there, Keith. And we have people committing suicide because of all this COVID stuff. You know, they've lost hope, they've lost their homes, they've lost their livelihood, their businesses, and more people are committing suicide than are dying from the COVID. So what the heck? I mean, are these lives not valuable at all? Do those lives not matter because they're not black? I mean, what's
now
up
they
with
say
that?
now they say there's a Zoloft shortage because of the depression everyone's going through.
Oh my!
Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick.
Yeah, what about all the patients have died of malpractice with these doctors? How many Americans have died because the doctor got it wrong?
Yeah.
How many patients have died because of the doctors not even doing their job professionally?
Somewhere on the order of about 225,000 a year, and that's what they admit to. It's probably much larger than that. So yeah, where's the outrage about that? I agree, Tom.
Yeah, and here's another one there. What about Como moving all those patients from a hospital?
What about the black babies?
Tom.
What about the black babies being aborted? 90,000 black babies were aborted last year. 90,000.
Yeah. But what about Como over there in New York there that moved those patients, these alleged COVID patients, to these old folks' homes, to which every single one of these things has been traced, these old, and also the veterans, over 1,000 veterans died from this COVID thing in these old folk type homes there, as well as that IG report that I didn't mention of the 307,000 veterans that were allowed to die by the VA. Where's the outrage?
Yeah.
Como should be put in jail. Como should be behind bars.
Yep.
What he's allowed.
Damn right.
A lot of them need to be put behind bars.
I got one more thing to say.
Okay, real quick.
I got one more thing to go. This thing's spreading over to Europe now, and I'm telling you, this thing's going to spiral out of control because now, you know, we got to look what's going to happen if it's retaliation. It's what happens. How many more times white people are going to want to hear on the news that 4 or 5 white cops got shot because some nut went crazy? People are going to get finally fed up. I'm telling you, it'll be a bad situation if they don't nip this in the bud right now. And if Donald Trump don't get reelected, and we got a guy like bumbling 98-year-old Biden who's going to pick that Atlanta woman for the mayor, we're screwed. We're screwed. This country's screwed over, man. Over. It's over.
All right, Tom. Thanks for calling in. Okay.
Yep. Thank you, Tom, for your call.
Our phone lines are getting loaded up.
Oh yeah, they are definitely getting loaded up. So, Mark in Florida, what's on your mind?
Hey guys, thanks for letting me in. My gosh, I'll keep it short. Robert Yates, pen name Brutus, the anti-federalist. He spelled it out way back then. The community policing is community organized policing services run by the Department of Justice. These people protesting to get rid of the police, they're going to get something different. And part of that is these psychopaths that are taking a job to track down people with a common cold, to track down COVID trackers. That's part of community organized policing services. This is what Obama started way back when. Trump hasn't done anything to end it. This is what it's coming to.
Yep.
It's called Bolshevism. And that's what I got for you guys. Enjoy.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you.
Robert's first hour. Yeah, Robert's first hour on Sunday covered that just to a T.
Yeah, so go check that republicbroadcasting.org and go get the podcast there. All right, Pat in Fort Worth, what's on your mind?
A couple things. I believe there's a new YouTube, and I lost it, from a guy around Fort Worth who just put one on there. I should have kept it. And he, well, I have it somewhere. And he was backing up everything that Candace Owens was saying and a whole lot more. And he gave his own experiences. So I appreciate people like that who know what they're doing. He has a website that looks real good. But I wanted to say that mainly what you were saying about this COVID number, that is really what's been planned for a long time. A guy named Gary Claus, who wrote En Route to Global Occupation and about the one world religion, he has YouTubes put out by a lady named Lindley Oz, Leahz, and she tells how he used to be a government agent, working for the government. So he kept under everywhere he went, he would let them know he did that. And he learned a lot of stuff about it. And he gives on that interview on YouTube, he gives actual names of organizations like Gavi. All my light went away. So anyway, he has the name of the organizations, and he said that they're going to push this number, and they're going to use the United Nations Human Rights Commission, which Trump needs to defund that one too, because there's the problem. They're going to tell the people all over the world, especially in the poor countries that don't know what's going on. They're going to tell them, go start all over the world to get you a number, an individual number, and tell you that it's your right to have your very own number. It's your human right and civil right. And so they're going to also do the vaccination, just like everybody says they're going to do. But she had another lady that worked for FEMA who was also actually exposing that. And she said they're going to put something like hydrogel under your skin, which mixes with your blood and your tissue. And has this, we've already talked about the nanoparticles, but they'll be able to just follow you everywhere. So have a goal. That is to get you your own individual number. See, the Social Security number is not. If people say, I think that's the mark of the beast, I'm not going to mess with it. Well, several people can own the same Social Security number. That's how illegals do. They get one on the gravestone. But so they're determined to get you your own individual number and to make you demand it.
Yep,
and then
that will happen at some point. That's exactly what they're moving towards, and they'll implant it in their chips and make the marks where you can't forge the whole thing, and we're going to be branded like cattle. It's quite disgusting. You got anything else for us?
The sad part about it, as far as I'm concerned, is that we don't know that God's allowing all this to happen because we've just turned away from God. We got to get on his side, first of all, and then he can show us how to get through and live without the mark, or maybe get on a plane, buy food, do whatever you have to do without getting the mark, because the Bible says if you get the mark, I think it's Revelation 16, that you won't go to heaven. And the other thing is that people who take the mark are going to break out in grievous sores. That sounds like staphylococcus.
It's something like that, and it's going to be a whole lot of not pleasant. Okay, we're getting pretty close to the end of the segment here. Pat, thanks for your call, and feel free to call us back tomorrow, and we'll continue with that here later. Let me unmute here Steve and see if Steve's got a couple of quick comments here before the break, and then we've got one more caller on the line.
Well, she's right on.
Dave. You know, I mean, the thing is this: it is going this direction towards the medical industrial complex. So it's like watching television. You know, they squeeze the frame out so people don't get hip to the idea that the whole COVID thing was overblown, and they put up a lot of distraction stuff. This will fade too. They'll squeeze it out again, but they will be back in the fall with more epidemics. And the epidemics, people don't understand epidemics. They don't understand bad science. They understand bad people, but they don't understand when the science is bad because they've never checked it. No one's listening to what we've been saying for many years about Fauci and these people. This is somebody who should have been cleaned out, as you and I said, Dave, before Trump even started his office. He should have gotten rid of Fauci day one. People didn't even know who Fauci was when we were talking about this, Dave. You know, who Fauci? Yeah, I've been watching this guy for 28 years.
Yeah.
And
they certainly do know who he is now. Okay, we'll be right back here with the final segment. And we got a call, Bob from Colorado. Neighbor Steve. We'll be right back. Yeah, what's really happened? Okay, I got Steve Stars from Colorado riding along with me, and we have a couple of shows every week on 1360 KHNC. It's an AM radio station on there, and you go to 1360khnc.com. And I bring this up because we got the last caller here, Bob in Colorado. So, Bob, what's on your mind, brother?
Well, I'm down here in southern Colorado, and a couple things. I think one thing that really needs to be reiterated, which was on your show, which was absolutely mind-blowing over the weekend, is Higginlooper from Denver and the Bohemian Grove and all that stuff. I think that ought to be put over and over every day because this is showing who our government is really serving. I was a police officer outside of Philadelphia for 23 years, and I came down here to Colorado, and I'm going to tell you, I have never seen such a change in policing. I'm sure it's even worse up in Philly, but I've never seen a change in policing the way it is today. I'm 68. I am appalled that the police officers who took an oath to our Constitution, just like I was in the military, and took an oath to our Constitution, and these poor, lost souls that believe our government is going to take care of us is just mind-blowing. And I just cannot believe that with the real information out there, like the WHO came out today and said masks don't really work. Well, you know what? I've already told people that and sent out emails, and I'm getting letters back saying, I don't really care. I want to be safe. So this shows how brainwashed we really are, and I feel sorry for our kids. And if hopefully with this lockdown, this crazy freaking lockdown, I wear a mask. If I have to wear a mask, it says Plethora. But anyway, I really hope that there are the kids that are home, that some of the parents that are awake can get the kids that are our last hope to understand we are under attack. And I'll listen to you off the air. Thank you.
I got one for you, Bob.
God bless America.
Yeah,
Thanks, Bob.
I've got one for you, Bob. Since you mentioned Philadelphia, the feds just seized $1.3 billion in cocaine from a ship that was registered to J.P. Morgan Chase. It had 19.76 tons of cocaine on it. So again, here we see the government is cutting down small businesses.
Wow.
At a time when people need it the most, they're cutting the supply off. I wonder if Bill Clinton's got a shipment on there.
Yeah, probably, but that would be coming out of MENA probably, but that's a story for another time. We're all familiar with the Clinton Chronicles and all that stuff. Steve, thanks for being with us here on
My pleasure.
And thank you, Keith, for jumping in here, even though you didn't feel good. I certainly appreciate all the help, guys. And we will be back tomorrow on republicbroadcasting.org. Here, support the network. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Stay safe.